what we see is more around the area of civil law. The chapter begins with person hires workers. You hire some workers, and it's nothing to do with the Gemarah we're learning today. I'm just giving you what the chapter talks about at the beginning. Discusses a person who hires a worker and says the conventional price is so much and so much. Normal day is 9 to 5, let's say. And he promises him or her wages that are above the normal wage. As the worker is working, the guy says, the boss says, oh, it's not 9 to 5, it's 9 to 6 or 9 to 7. You go according to the rules of the state. The rules of the state are 9 to 5. But that's why I told you that I'm going to overpay you. We didn't understand. We had no understanding that we are being overpaid to work longer. We understood that it means to work harder, do a better job. Who wins that battle? The workers. So in the Gemarah goes on, and as you know, tangential, everything goes, one leads to another. The Gemarah starts telling a story with Rabbi Yochanan. Here's the copy. Yeah, one. Okay. Anyone else comes in, there's an extra copy. I want to give her a couple words. So turn to page, we'll wait for, turn to the first page is the actual Gemarah itself, the original, with the Rashi on the right and Tosfos on the left. But we're going to start from the second page, where it says, on the right side of the page, on the right side towards the top, the Gemarah turns to a discussion of beauty. I don't know if you ever heard of Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan was from Yerushalayim. In fact, he was the compiler of the Jerusalem Talmud, about 100 years before the Babylonian Talmud. And Rabbi Yochanan was known to have an incredibly powerful looking face, radiant. And here's what Rabbi Yochanan is trying to say. It's not because of me, it's because of Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim stands for Yira Shalem. Complete fear, wholesome fear of God. And he said, because I had that, it affected my looks. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, on top of the second page of the right-hand column, the Gemarah turns to discuss of beauty. Rabbi Yochanan said, thank you so much. You don't have to listen. Omar Rabbi Yochanan, Ano ishtayru l'shapira Yerushalayim. I alone remain from the beautiful people of Jerusalem. The olden days, there were much more. I'm still from the remnants of those people that came from Yerushalayim that had an unusual looking face. I'm one of them. He wasn't trying to boast about himself. He was trying to show how powerful the city of Yerushalayim is, that it could actually impact a person's face if you live with the spirit of Yerushalayim. He wasn't boasting about his looks. And here's the interesting Gemarah here. Hi, man, the boy, I'm going to translate each word. Hi, the one, man, whom, the boy, wishes, mechazeh, like chazon, Shabbos chazon, mechazeh, to witness, to see. Shufrei de Rabbi Yochanan, to imagine the radiance of Rabbi Yochanan's face. Shufrei like sapphire stone, sapphire. Shapir means something that shines. Shufrei, the shine. Is that Rota? Oh my God. Why are you late? You know how important you are? Rotem, you know how important you are? And everyone here is so important.
I know.
When I see a full class, it gives it.
Tired, but I almost slept and I said, no way.
Every one of you is special, and when I see everyone here, it makes me feel better. Okay. Especially Devorah, because she's not usually here. Really good. Chaim. Anyways. So Shufrei, sapphire, Shapir, yeah? Shufrei, the shine, the radiance of Rabbi Yochanan. you want to imagine it, you're not living in his days, we're living in 2022. Nicey Casa, Nicey, he should bring that person who wants to imagine the radiance of his face. He said this person should bring Casa. What does a Casa mean? Casa, like a kos, a goblet, a cup. De Kaspa. Anyone guess what Kaspa is? It's Aramaic, sounds like Hebrew. Silver. Who said silver? Kesef. Ken. Go ahead. Seguro. Kaso de Kaspa, he should bring a silver becher, goblet. Mibei silky, from the smith, the silversmith. It's still hot coming out of the furnace, this hot silver that was just molded. Unamale partido de rumano sumaka. Unamale, like malay, and he should fill this goblet that just came out red hot from the fire, from the oven, it was molded, and fill it partidaya, seed, de rumana, rimon means pomegranate. Fill it with the red, very fresh red seeds of a rumana sumaka, a very red pomegranate. Sumak, you're learning Aramaic here. Sumak is red. Rimona is rimon, pomegranate. Partidaya, that's a hard word, seeds. Look inside. You want to look inside? Still looking at my face? Mine? I'm going to hide my face. Partidaya de rumano sumaka. Unehederle klilo de varda. And after you've put these fresh red pomegranate seeds into this hot silver cup, unahaderle, frame it, go all around the rim, klila, like a crown. Frame its rim with a crown of red roses. Varad, varda, vered. Vered means a rose, no? You have a lot of words. Shoshana, vered. Varda is a rose in Aramaic. Kalila, a crown. Nahadrele, go all around the rim of this goblet, which has these pomegranate seeds, and frame its rim with a crown of red roses. Devarda sulmaka lepume. Pume means the mouth, the rim. Klila means a crown. Nahadrele, surround it, frame it. And venoisve ben shimsha lutula. Who knows what that means? Venoisve means and place it. Which word means the sun? Shimsha? Shemesh. Shimsha means the sun in Aramaic. Shemesh, Shimsha. You know, you see the Aramaic sounds like Hebrew. Shimsha, how do you say shade in Hebrew? Shade. Sel. So in Aramaic it's tail, tula. You know, Hebrew helps a little bit that. The noisve ben Shimsha the tula. What are you scamming me for? Quiet. The noisve ben Shimsha the tula. And place this beautiful goblet that has red seeds in it and framed with round red roses, and place it between the sun and the shade. If it's too sunny, you won't see anything. It blinds you. If it's shady, you won't see the beauty. But right when you have the luster of that reflects off the surrounding ground, hahu zaharure, that luster, that shine, that reflects on the surrounding ground, now you'll get a little picture of Rabbi Yochanan's face look like. It is a semblance. Me'ain, you know what me'ain means? Ain means the eye, when you see something directly. Me'ain, something like that. Me'ain, like you say on Friday night, I don't know if you noticed this, after Shemon Esrei, it's like a shortcut of Shemon Esrei. How many brachas do we say on Shabbos in Shemon Esrei? Right. Me'ein olam haba means I'm enjoying my life almost like olam haba. Me'ein is a word that's used. Me'ein sheva. There are 7 brachas on Friday night. In the normal Shemon Esrei, it's 18 or 19. In the Shabbos Shemon Esrei, it's only 7. After we finished the Shemon Esrei, there's a repeat. Chazoras Hashatz. The Chazon repeats a kitzur, a synopsis of the 7 blessings. It's called Me'ein Sheva. Okay. Me'ein means similar. Okay, very good. Me'ein Shalosh, Me'ein Ken. Alamichya is like a shortcut of the mention, which has 3 brachos. Me'ein shalosh. Made my day. Now, what does Eini mean? How do you say yes in Aramaic? In. Interesting. In Hebrew, it's ein. No, it's not. In Aramaic is yes. Ini, yeah? Really? Are you telling me Rabbi Yochanan was that special in looks? Ini? Is this indeed so? It can't be. The master said the following: the radiance of Rav Kahana, a sage in the Gemarah who's called Rav Kahana, Me'ein Shufrei de Rabavo, had a semblance of beauty, of radiance of Rabavo, another great sage who lived before. Shufrei de Rabavo, the radiance of Rabavo, Me'ein Shufrei de Yaakov Avinu, was a semblance of the radiance of our forefather Yaakov, who is the father of all the Jewish people. Shufrei de Yaakov Avinu, and the radiance of our forefather Yaakov was a semblance of the radiance of Adam, the first man. Rabbi Yochanan is not in the picture over here. Why are we boasting about Rabbi Yochanan's unusual looks of beauty? He's not mentioned amongst these great people. Rab Kahana, Rab Avohu, Yaakov Avinu, or the Marushon. Rabbi Yochanan is not mentioned. Evidently, his face wasn't so radiant. Gemarah answers no. Shani Rabbi Yochanan is different. Why he's not mentioned here? Because the Hadras Ponim Lo Havale. He lacked what a man needs for having a royal look. He didn't have a beard. It didn't grow. His beard never grew. Because he was lacking a beard, that's why he's not counted. But the face was radiant. In fact, as we'll see later in the Gemarah, he looked like a woman from far. He had a beautiful look. I said, well, a beautiful woman. Yeah. He had a radiant, it says a shine, but if you would go next to his body, the room would light up, like it would be up to, like a flashlight. He had a tremendous radiance from his face and a red look, very red, like we said before, with the pomegranate seeds on the. No, the Mashroka. Rabbi Yochanan lived way earlier. This is Rabbi Yochanan. I forgot his father's name. We'll soon see him, and his chaver was Reish Lakish. Rav Shimon ben Lakish, so we'll soon see, he was a pirate. He learned Torah, then he went off the derech, and he became a pirate, became a ganav. Reish Lakish. Rav Shimon is called Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. He used to be a Talmid Chacham and then went away, forgot all his learning, and got involved in not good things. And Rabbi Yochanan was Mekarav him, as we'll soon see the story. Doesn't have a good ending over here, but we'll see the story. Now, here we have a very interesting halacha. This is interesting. The Gemarah continues to discuss Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan hava ozu v'yosef ashayre tvila. Rabbi Yochanan was accustomed, he knew he had a very special looking face and he was a holy man. You know where he went? He went to the mikveh, women's mikveh, and he stood outside the gate. So the woman comes out of the mikveh after her tefillah, the first person she would see would be him. And go, wow, what a face. He had a tremendous looking face. And then it says, the night of a mikveh is a night of intimacy. When you see something that's phenomenal, it imprints on the mind and it affects the child which he conceives that night. Story with Yaakov Avinu with the sheep, spotted sheep, and then you also have a story in Reishis Chachma that Chassanim learned before their wedding. Sounds interesting. They learned before their wedding a story with a prince, with a wife of a king, who I think it was actually, it was a wife, I think it was the wife, or maybe it was the princess's daughter. And this princess was married to a white person. She was white, and very white, and her husband was white. She gives birth to a black child. So that means that she fooled around. So someone, they say it might be an Eliyahu or someone in disguise comes and reports, no, that's not the case. She's innocent. Look at her drawers inside her bedroom, and you will see a picture of a black man, like a cannibal-looking black person. And it had such an impact on her mind when she saw it, that it actually caused the baby to be black. And that was accepted, and she was saved. That's why I always tell, this is something, I don't know if it'll be off the record, I tell Chassanim before, when they're ready to be with their wives intimately, before you get into the bedroom, look at the Rebbe's picture. Listen to the Rebbe singing, And the sound of the Rebbe's voice, or Tzaddik's voice, and the sound and the sight of a holy face can sometimes have an effect on the child. Do you want to have a child who looks like the Rebbe?
Yes.
I wouldn't mind, right? They say, there's all kinds of children. There are three partners. There's the father and the mother, and then there's also God. Some children look more like their father, some like their mother, and guess what? Some children act like they are Hashem's children. They are holy kids, and they have a third partner resemblance. I've seen such kids. I saw a 10-year-old kid, I kid you not, in 770, davening, sitting in one, kids can't sit in one place. Kid is sitting in one place, and he's like this, 10 or 11 maybe, and he's going like this, and he's davening, and he doesn't look out of Shemon Esrei the whole time. He's davening Shemon Esrei about 10, 15 minutes, and his eyes are closed, and you can see that, there's creases on his forehead, and the kid is actually crying. Wow. And it's and you see, this is a special kid. This is a kid who looks like his third partner. I mean, it must be. Something was done right. It says when the parents are prepared in a holy way, it brings the Shekhinah there, and the Shekhinah says, I'll take care of the child who you're going to become pregnant with. So it's very important to have holy thoughts. So Rabbi Yochanan wanted the women who went out of the mikvah to look at him, to stare at him. So Yosef Ashar Tefillah. He was accustomed to sit next to the entrance to the woman's mikvah, not inside the mikvah, Chas v'shalom, that he wouldn't do, but outside the mikvah, after they're fully dressed and they're outside, they would look at him. When the Jewish women emerged from their required immersion, Ki Salkon Benos Yisrael Mitvilas Mitzvah, when the Jewish women emerged, Salkon, come out, Benos Yisrael Mitvilas Mitzvah, from the required immersion. After she's been nida for, let's say, 2 weeks, she finally goes to the mikveh, and that night is a very special night for her, very holy night. Livku ubi, let them encounter me on the way out and retain an image of me in their minds, because he had an unusual looking face. You go, whoa. And that would have an imprint on her whole neshama. So that they will have children. So that in order, they shall, they, b'nei shapiri, beautiful children. Gimiri oiraisi kavosi, as beautiful as I in looks, which comes from Yerushalayim. His looks, he said, came from Yerushalayim. That's the first thing. Number two, it should also be learned in Torah. First comes Yerushalayim, then comes the holiness of the Torah. You need both. As learned as the Torah as I. Let them have children who look like me, and have that radiance, and also are learned as I am. Now, there's an interesting, see in footnote 11, you can't, it's really, copy can come out well. Also, the parents at the time they unite is a determining factor in footnote 11, or 11. And the nature of the child conceived, much as Jacob influenced the traits of the sheep to be born by placing, and I have it inside my Gemarah, on the right page. By placing streaked rods before the parent sheep. Okay, now turn to the next page. Amalei Rabbana, the rabbi said to him, Lo mistafi mar me'eno bisha, is master not fearful of the evil eye? Ayin hara can affect a person. People to go ahead and stand in front of you. The fact you're walking in the street is one thing, but to make it a scene out of your looks. Look at my face, even though you had a right goal, right kavanah. Aren't you afraid of ayin hara? Bad eye, the evil eye. The evil eye, we'll see later on, works in two different ways. Either it's a power of a person's eye. Certain people have that power, not a good power, to actually affect other people in a negative way. By looking at them in an envious way. Or you could say, it's not that you have the power. When Hashem sees that there's an envy, I only wish I had that, Hashem checks it, does some research, and starts looking into, scrutinizing the person who has all this great looks and wealth. Let's see if you're worthy of it. Let's check you out. So they asked Rabbi Yochanan, do you want to press the Midas Hadin against you? Do you want an Ayin Hara to affect you? Why don't you show yourself? I know you have a good reason, but aren't you afraid of Ayin Hara? That's one pirush. Another pirush is not Ayin Hara of people being envious, the Ayin Hara of the Yetzer Hara. After all, women are coming out. and you're a tzaddik, but there's women coming out, so it's not exactly 100% the right thing to do to stand by the entrance of a tefillah, of a mikveh. Aren't you worried about that kind of ayin hara? There's two different ways of learning pshat. You know what he answered? Ano mizara de Yosef ko asina. I come from the seed of Yosef. Over whom an evil eye has no power. As it is written, Bein Paras Yosef, Bein Paras Aliyoyim. A charming, this is Yaakov's blessing. We just had that not long ago in Parshas Vayechi. A charming son, Yaakov says to Yosef. Bein Paras, beautiful, like Tiferes. A charming son is Yosef. Wonderful looking child. A charming son to the eye. So the simple pshat means to the eye, alei ayin, for the eye to see. The girls used to look at his face because he was so attractive. Yosef HaTzadik, and you know the whole story of Eshes Potiphar. One of the most attractive men in the history was Yosef HaTzadik, and then Shaul HaMelech, King Shaul. Shaul also was incredibly beautiful. What? Shaul HaMelech, yeah. He was very tall also. He has his shoulders. I mean, a simple shot means his shoulders were the height of an average person's height. So he was like a foot higher than normal, close to 7 feet tall. Besides that, he also had an incredible looking face. And I'll finish. I have a certain interesting halach I want to share with you after we finish this paragraph here. So what did he say? He said, I come from the children, I'm from the family of Yosef. And it says by Yosef, Bein Peiros Alei Ayin, a beautiful, charming person for the eye to see. But Amar Rabavohu, here's Rabavohu, we just mentioned him, that he had also incredible looking face. Al Tikri Alei Ayin, don't read, do not pronounce the words Alei, above or for the eye, but read Olei Ayin, but rather Olei, rising over the eye. He is immune to Ayin Hara. He is protected. If you come from Yosef, if you're Yosef's family, Ayin Hara will not affect you. And you know why Yosef got that bracha? Because, what was the reason? Because he? Huh? אבל לפני זה, זה תגופה שהוא עמד בניסיון, זה בגלל שהוא עמד, כן, Rachel, his mother Rachel was a beautiful woman, and he did not want Esau to look at her, so he stood. So because he took off the Ayin Hara of Esau, he was blessed with no one can affect him with an Ayin Hara. So Rabbi Yochanan says, I come from Yosef. And also, if you learn the other shot, I am immune to the Yetzer Hara. I'm above all that. This thing doesn't even sway me. There's no struggle at all. I don't have any struggles at all. I'm above all that. Just like Yosef was above all that. So Alei Olim, I am higher. I am above the eye. Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina Amar, here is the proof that Yosef was immune to Ayin Hara. It says, "V'yidgu l'rov v'kerem ha'aretz," and may the children of Yosef proliferate abundantly like fish within the land. Proliferate means to multiply. V'kerem ha'aretz. What's the resemblance to fish? Why don't we compare it to fish? Ma dagim shebeyam, just as it is true, fish in the sea. Ma'im mechasim otam, water covers them. And when something is covered, ve'ein ha'ayin shalet lehem, thus the eye has no power over them. Yosef, so too, it is true regarding the progeny of Yosef, the children of Yosef, Ein Ayin Shalet lehem, the evil eye has no power over them. Okay. In footnote 16, you can look at what I wrote here, what I underlined here. Two explanations of the power of Ayin Hara. So I'm not going to look, you can look at it yourself, you can read it, and it's very easy to understand what's being written over here. Take a look at the next piece. But the halakha I wanted to share with you is there's an interesting question in halakha. We know that men are not supposed to stare at women. It's inappropriate, not sneezing. Are women allowed to stare at men?
No.
The fact that they are in the, they are in the gallery and they're looking down, they can see the men. Are they allowed to gaze and look at? So there's an interesting Yalkut Shimoni in Navi Shmuel, where it talks about Shaul HaMelech looking for his lost donkeys. You know the story in Shmuel Aleph? You learn Tanakh? You learn Tanakh? Yeah, Shmuel Aleph, Perek Tes, I think. Pasuk Gimel, and there it says that the girls were giving advice where you might find Shmuel Hanavi, and they started talking a lot about. They started giving, he's there and he's there and he's there. I got into a whole. The Gemarah asked, well, who told him to speak so much? He just asked one simple thing: do you know where Shmuel Hanavi is? All they could have said is, yes, he's over there. And they go, he's there, and you got to turn around here, you got to turn around. They wanted to get into conversation because they were enjoying looking at his face. So the Gemarah says, that's according to one opinion. The other opinion says, are you kidding? What, are you making our daughters as if they are prostitutes that they're looking at as someone who's very special, looking at Shaul HaMelech because of his beauty? So we see from here that you're not supposed to. But yet Rabbi Yochanan allowed this. He allowed women to stare at him. So it depends. It depends what the staring is all about. If you're staring to get the Kedusha, because you want to absorb the Kedusha, that's a different story. If you're staring for not good reasons, that's a problem. So whether it's men for women, women for men, it's a problem either way. Okay. Now, Yom Echad, here comes the interesting part. Not that this wasn't interesting, but this is more interesting. The Gemarah records the story of the relationship between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. I mentioned before Reish Lakish. The narrative begins before Reish Lakish's rise to eminence. Yom Echad, this is before he became a Baal Tshuva. And don't forget, he was once religious and learned. That's the hardest. And he fried out. He went off and completely off. Someone who is frum and goes off, to go back is harder than someone who was never frum. I already tasted this. And I left Judaism. To come back is much harder. You'll notice, FFB girls, when they don't do it right, it's very hard to get them back. They don't come back so easily.
Which girls?
FFB.
What is it?
From birth.
No.
Or verblundet from birth, as they say, lost from birth. In Yiddish, verblundet means, lost. No. From birth. But doesn't always, sometimes when they're from birth, they look for what am I missing? What am I missing? They're looking for the narishkeit that you're running away from. They're looking for. Don't realize that in their own backyard, everything's there. So Reish Lakish was one of those. Yom Echad Havakosocho Rabbi Yochanan b'Yardena. Rabbi Yochanan was swimming in the Jordan River. He went for a swim. Kasachi, swim. B'Yardena, Jordan. Chazer Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish, who was then not a holy man at that time, was then a highwayman, saw him. B'Shavar LeYardena, Abasre. And he had tremendous skill. He was an acrobat. He was able to jump very high. B'Shavar, he jumped. LeYardena, he jumped into the ocean, like a deep sea diving, and jumped into the Jordan after him. These guys who jumped from very, very high he jumped very quickly because he thought Rabbi Yochanan was a woman, and he was interested in her. And what he thought was her. The Shavar LeYardena Abasre jumped into the Jordan after him. Armalei, Rabbi Yochanan beheld this display of vitality and said to him, wow, your strength belongs to the Torah. Take all that strength you use to jump like that, to dive into the waters. The waters are Torah. Torah is compared to water. How about diving into the water of Torah like that? Use all your strength for Torah.
Like the Rebbe said.
Yep.
Rebbe say to the woman, use your powers.
That's right. Always use any talent you have for the good. So he said, your strength belongs to the Torah. You know what he answered back? Shufre, your beauty belongs to women. He was a little disappointed that it was not a woman. He says, Shufre, your beauty belongs to women. That's what he answered back. Shufre nashim. Shufrach, your beauty belongs to women. Armalei, Rabbi Yochanan said to him, okay, I see you're interested in beauty. If you will repent, hadar, return. If you'll return back to Judaism, Yahivnalach achoisi, I will give you my sister in marriage, and you think I'm good looking, who is more beautiful than I. The Shapira minai, she is more beautiful than me. Some say he was also hinting not just his sister, but the Torah is compared to a sister. It says achot, sister, is also a reference to Torah, because just like a sister, you know her very well, and you don't forget her. So through the Torah, achot, like achas, one, become one. Torah is also something you should never forget. And if someone asks you a question, you shouldn't have to, let me remember, let me look up something. No, you should have the answers on the spot. So I will give you my sister means more than just my sister. Literally, it also means my Torah knowledge. The ability to absorb the Torah without forgetting. Achosihi. The Shapira minoi. Now, if you say it means his Torah learning, it means my Torah is greater than I am. I got all my beauty from it. How about becoming one with the Torah, my sister, and you'll have really noticed some beauty. I'm much more beautiful than I am. My beauty is just taken from the Torah. Kabbalah Reish Lakish accepted upon himself. Now, his acceptance was so deep. He was so deeply affected by this new resolution to become a religious Jew that he lost all his physical power at the moment. The story in Tanakh, you never learn Rus? You learn Rus. You know the story with Rus? It says Rus was a Giorit, of course, of big tzaddikus. And she was persisting, I don't want to leave you. Wherever you go, I go. Wherever you, I will not, I'm not leaving you. And Naomi, her mother-in-law, saw. You know when she noticed that Rus is for real? When Rus, in simple shot means mitzametet, she is persistent. But then the Mefarshim say no. She saw that she could hardly walk. Suddenly, this Rus became like an old lady. She couldn't move. Oh, because the resolution to become a Jew, to remain steadfast in her resolution to go through conversion was so strong that it weakened her body physically. Now I know she's for real. She's not just lip service. I want to be. Now she means it with all her heart and soul. This woman is for real. Then she stopped trying to dissuade her from from going through Gerus. So, yeah, physically. The Gashmiut, weaker.
I wouldn't think that
No. The Gashmi is stronger in it. No, it strengthened her resolve in her neshama. But it took so much out of her. She was out of breath. It affected her heart.
Just for that time being, though, right?
Yeah. Just for that time being. There's also another story where the Rebbe always talks about the Jews when they came to Matan Torah, when they reached Rosh Chodesh. It says that Moshe Rabbeinu gave them an off day. No Farbrengen today. You can imagine they're excited to hear. First time we're at Ramesh at the Har, the Mount Sinai. This is the place. Here it's going to be. Here we're going to see the Shekhinah in 6 days from now. We'd think they would want to hear, no Moshe, Rebbe, Farbreng. Not one Jew asked Moshe to Farbreng. Why? Because they were all tired. They were all fatigued from the journey. So the Rebbe asked, what journey? How far were they going already? And it was on a Sunday or a Monday. They just had a good Shabbos rest, and it wasn't so far. And when you're walking and you have a chayus, you don't feel the pain. I used to walk 5 miles to Borough Park. We're here already. I'm talking with someone. When you're talking and you're enjoying the walk, you don't feel it. You don't feel the walk. So if you're walking to Matan Torah, who's tired? And the Rebbe answers, not physical tired. It wasn't that they were so tired because the physical journey made them tired. It was a spiritual journey. At that day, Rosh Chodesh Sivan, all the Jews who were so diverse, every Jew, 2 Jews, 3 opinions, as they say, no Jew could think alike. All the Jews became like one person, one heart, and one brain. And they went up on a journey. They transcended their normal self, which made one Jew different from another Jew. And they were able to become Ki'ish Echad B'Lev Echad. That's a heavy journey. And because of that, they were like, we're still busy with Abbas Yisrael. We don't have the koyach to hear any Torah from you. We're occupied with this journey of becoming one. So here's another example. Reish Lakish lost his acrobatic, powers. He couldn't jump anymore. He wanted to return to retrieve previous clothing. He couldn't move. He was unable to muster enough strength to do so. Money means his clothing. Money means kelim. Hagar akriye va'asne. But then Rabbi Yechanan afterwards taught him scripture and Mishnah. V'shavye gavra rabba, and made him into the great man that he always had the power to be. The narrative continues. There's a little sad story here. Yom Echad, one day, many years later, after Reish Lakish was already, an equal to Rabbi Yechanan, they were disputing the following point in the study hall. Here comes a Mishnah, a halacha. There's the rule of impurity. Something touches an impure, let's say it's a corpse, it becomes contaminated. Let's say it's a vessel, not a person. Anything that's complete, a vessel that's complete, is susceptible to tumah. If it's not complete, it's in the making, but it wasn't finished yet, it's not susceptible to tumah. It's like a person. If you're complete, if everything you have, all your faculties, then the Yetzer Hara starts. But if you're incomplete, something's wrong with you, then Yetzer Hara leaves, it goes to the next person. So the power of impurity, tumah, only affects a complete keli. At what point is a keli, a vessel, complete? So there's an argument between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. They argued, not in a bad way, in a good way. The sword and a knife, hasayif, v'hasakin, v'hapigyon. Pigyon is a hunting spear. V'haromach, the military spear. In other words, weapons and the hand sickle, magal yad, magal katsir, harvesting sickle. These are things that are used mainly for weapons, for weaponry, or to cut. From what point are they capable of becoming tameh? Meaning, at what point are they complete, finished products, and now they are susceptible to tumah? The answer is mishas Gemarah malachtam. It is from the time of the completion of their production. What's called complete? Gemarah malachtam. What one is the completion of their production. Rabbi Yochanan says from when the metal utensils are tempered in a furnace. When it's put into a burning hot, and then cold, and then hot, and then cold, that strengthens the walls of the keli. It's like rotzev v'shuv in our own avodah. When do you get strong? When you have ups and downs in life, ups and downs, like a roller coaster, then it strengthens you because now you witness both. So that's ruchnius in our own personal life. You need to have ups. You can't just have one type of life experience. Cold is shuv, and rotzev is heat. You're excited about something. You're advancing towards something you want to reach it, and you can't reach it. You go back and cool off. Then you get fire again, cool off again. So a keli, likewise, when is a keli complete? Rabbi Yochanan says when you go through that experience, when the keli is completed by heat and cold and heat and cold, and the walls are complete, hardened, and once they're hardened, they are now susceptible to tumah if something touches them. When the metal utensils are tempered to a furnace, that's Rabbi Yochanan Shita. Rabbi Shlokish Omar, Shlokish says that's not enough. It's not finished yet. When is it finished? When they are polished with water. Look at footnote 21. Rabbi Shlokish contends that since these metal utensils are weapons, their frightening appearance is central to their purpose. Thus, their production is not finished until they possess the glint, the zohar, the shine, that will strike fear into the hearts of future victims. Interesting. Rish Lakish was about tshuva. He understands the power of the Yetzer Hara. To get rid of in other words, when do you become a complete keli? When are you complete? You're complete only when you have the power to strike fear in your enemy. Only when you have the water, which shines the keli after it's complete, you shine it, and now weapons that look shiny are more scary. So Rish Lakish is following his own experience in a keli, just like a person is complete, but not only do you have all your faculties, but you're also able to. That's called complete keli in Rish Lakish's mind. Armalei Rabbi Yochanan says to Rish Lakish, the lista yusa yada. A thief knows his tool of thievery. I guess you're a big bucky in thievery. You used to be a ganav. So you're really, you know what? You're right. I didn't know about that. I didn't think about that. But you are a big bucky, well-versed in these areas because you once were, as per your past. And Rish Lakish what took this as offense. Rish Lakish was insulted. You remind me of my past. You don't want to do that. That's called harassment. Or verbal harassment. The whole Mishnah learned last year. Maya learned last year. I talked about Matzia, not allowed to harass. Tell a person, you remember what you used to eat when you were not from? Or tell a convert, you remember what you were when you weren't Jewish? Can't do that. We know who you were. We know what lineage you have. You don't want to do that. So how is Rabbi Yochanan doing this? Well, he misunderstood Rabbi Yochanan. And we'll soon see Rabbi Yochanan's remarks. They both misunderstood each other. Rabbi Yochanan did not mean to say that you seem to be I see your old ways are still there. You still remember your old ways. He meant to say, wow, you've transformed what you knew then, and you're putting that into the Torah. He was praising him. But Rish Lakish took that as an offense. He was offended. And he didn't feel that it was right for Rabbi Yochanan to do that. And he felt, I think I know why you're saying this, because you feel that maybe my return, my tshuva is not really sincere. Maybe that's why. Maybe I'm getting more covered. Maybe I got more covered. Maybe I'm getting more covered now than I got before. Now I'm a rabbi. That's why I came about tshuva. Not because of Torah, but because of fame and honor. Well, I want to tell you, Rabbi Yochanan, this is him speaking between the lines. I was respected before as well. I was even more respected before I did tshuva. So don't think that I have ulterior motives as to why I decided to become frum. It has nothing to do with being called rabbi. I was called rabbi there also, rabbi or chief robber or whatever you want to call it. I had all the fame in the world then as well. Amalei, he said back to him, Umaya honestly, and he actually meant, and how have you benefited me? He didn't mean those words. Rabbi Yechon understood that he was saying, and how have you benefited me? Meaning, what benefit did I get by becoming frum? Rabbi Yechon couldn't believe he was hearing his ears. What are you talking about? How could you say anything like that? How could you say that it's not worthy? What have you gained? But the truth is, he wasn't saying that. The word ahanis can mean honaya. How do you say harassment in Hebrew? Honaya. Honaya. How do you say benefit, pleasure? Hana'ah. So he used a word that could be understood two different ways. Maya honestly, Rabbi Yochanan thought he was asking, what gain? How have I gained becoming a Baal Tshuva? He didn't say that. He was saying, why are you insulting me? Why are you harassing me? Rabbi Yochanan misunderstood him. Terrible misunderstanding here. And he answered, why are you harassing me? You think that I'm not sincere? I'm getting all the coverage now I didn't have before? No. Hasam Rabbi Karali. Among the thieves, they called me rabbi. I was their leader. Hacha Rabbi Karali. And here also I'm a rabbi. I'm no more getting any more fame now than before. Look at footnote 23. You'll see the whole thing that I just mentioned there inside the commentary. Armalei, Rabbi Yechon said to him, I benefited you. Again, he misunderstood him. He thought he said, what benefit? I did benefit you. In that I brought you under the wings of a divine presence. Even if you knew Torah before, and even if you had all the knowledge, but you didn't have Yiras Shamayim, now I brought you under the wings of the Shekhinah. Quickly, I want to finish this. I know it's late. Kolos dieted Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan became very disheartened because of Reish Lakish's response. Kolos Reish Lakish became strongly ill. Asoi Achte, Rabbi Yochanan's sister, who was Reish Lakish's wife, he married her, came before Rabbi Yochanan. Kabachia, she cried and pleaded with him to pray for Reish Lakish's recovery. Amar said to him, Asay b'shvil banai, act for the sake of my children, prevent their father from dying. Armalah, he quoted a pasuk in Yirmiyah, Azva yitomecha, don't worry about your children, I will take care of them. Ani achaya, it's a pasuk in Yirmiyah where Hashem says, I will take care of your children who are orphans. In other words, I can't change the situation. I can't help Reish Lakish, but I will take care of his children if he dies. Asay b'shvil amanusi, how about because of me? I'm your sister. She acts for the sake of my impending widowhood. On Malah, he said to her, the almunasayich olai tiftachu. Another pasuk in Yirmiyah where Hashem says, you have to lose your husband, I will take care of you in your widow, in your being a widow. Widows trust in me. Noch nafshed Rav Shimon ben Lakish. Rav Lakish passed away. But Rabbi Yochanan grieved after him considerably. He couldn't come to himself. He lost his sanity. Rabbi said, Man who will go to bring comfort to his mind? Rabbi Elazar ben Padas. Rabbi Elazar ben Padas was a great scholar, and he had the whole Shas, the whole Talmud, under his 5 fingers. So let him go. The Mechadvin Shmaitze, his scholarship is brilliant. Also, Yosef Kameh, Rabbi Elazar ben Padas went to Rabbi Yochanan, sat before Rabbi Yochanan. Call Milsa to have Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Everything Rabbi Yochanan we used to say, Allah, he said. Rabbi Elazar ben Padas answered him, you know what? You're right. Tanya the Messiah. We learned a brisa that you are perfectly right that supports you. So Rabbi Yochanan says, I need you to tell me that. Rabbi Yochanan said, Lakish, where are you? I'm missing you. Atke Bar Lakisha, are you supposed to be like Bar Lakish? Bar Lakisha, with Bar Lakisha, when I said something, whenever I would say something, he wouldn't say, I can prove you're right. He would pose 24 difficulties to me. And I would give him 24 answers. And thanks to him, I really understood the material much better. As a result of the give and take of all the questions he asked me, he made me think. And I became clear. You constantly say, you're right, Rebbe. Tanya the Messiah, we learned the brisa that supports you. Of what use is this? Do I not already know that I have said well? Also, Yochanan would go about tearing his clothes. He would cry and say, Hey, Bar Lakisha, where are you, Bar Lakisha? Where are you? We need you back. He would scream until his sanity wore away from him. And the rabbis saw that even if he would return, he would live, continue living. he would still lose his sanity, and it would be not respectful. The rabbis prayed for mercy on him, but Rabbi Yochanan passed away. Not a very good ending. There's a lot to talk about. But I wanted to finish his piece fast, so that's why I skipped a lot. That's the end of his piece that I wanted to share with. It's a very powerful Gemarah. There's a lot of questions asked. How could he not have Rachmanis on his own sister and his own son and his own, why was he so harsh and not forgiving Rabbi Reish Lakish? And then later on, he starts crying after him. It needs a lot of explanation, but I don't have time right now. So have a wonderful Shabbos, and we'll see you next Friday with no class. There's a winter vacation, whatever. So we won't have any class next Friday, but Tuesday, whoever's here on Tuesday should come for the Slicha Shir.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos. I want to make sure I have a sofa here. No. Kana, Sternberg, Ruffle, yes. Rivka, yes. Shayna? Huh? Michal's not here either. Rota. So I have names here, but and the people here that are here in class, but not on the list. That's interesting, I think.
What?
Namdar, you're not here on the no. Your name? What's your first name?
Shira said that she would put me on, that didn't happen.
What?
Shira said that she would put me on, but it didn't happen.
Are you part of the class? So what's her name?
Yeah.
What? Sharon? Oh.
Becker.
Last name?
Becker.
Becker? Okay. Thank you.